Thank you for joining us. This recording was captured live at the 2026 NRB conference. While there may be a few moments where the audio isn't perfect, we're excited to share these great insights and discussions with you.
Okay, guys, here we are again at the NRB convention in Nashville at the Truth and Liberty booth, and I have two really special people I want to introduce to you today. It's Mark and Jane Neumann. They are the founders of a really special ministry that is unlike anything I've ever heard of today, and it's called, what's the name of it, Mark's camp?
Life Camp USA.
Life Camp USA. Not Life Church, Life Camp.
Yep.
That's right.
And it's a really specialized type of kids camp. You want to tell us what it is?
You bet. Yeah, we started a program, 1 week wilderness mentorship camp for the children of our fallen law enforcement and military, basically U.S. service members. So if they died as a result of their service to the country, their fathers, we take these middle schoolers off to camp and let them know they still have a heavenly Father who loves them and has a plan for their life.
Wow, that's amazing. So your camp is open to, if I understand it right, children who have lost their dad in military service or first responders, so police, possibly fire,
Correct.
and anything else.
Yep.
So that's amazing. Tell us your story about how you came into this ministry. What gave you the desire to do this?
I guess I could say, first of all, middle school is an important time for Mark and I. Both of us look back to that middle school age as being a formative part of our coming into faith and understanding our faith. We both grew up in Christian families, but in middle school, that was when we started to make, that our own faith.
Yeah.
And because of that, we always had worked with middle school students in youth ministry.
Yeah, have a heart for kids at that age. I think when we went through it, we can look back and think, that was kind of a weird time of life, but today it's 10 times harder, I think, than when we were in middle school. So to be able to catch these kids at that point in time, hopefully before they're in high school and maybe going in the ditch on making bad decisions, we really have felt that that's such a critical age to reach out to kids,
So your camp is not open to kids of all ages. It's zeroed in on middle schoolers.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it's middle schoolers particularly. We started the program, the ministry, 5 years ago in 2021, and we really didn't have a big plan other than we felt God was leading us to do this. And I've always wanted to kind of have a man camp for boys, talk about the things that, for example, pornography, is that's everybody knows, most middle schoolers are going to see that, and who's really talking about it? The churches, even there, it's a tough topic. So that's something at Life Camp USA we do, is we take on the topics, issues that we know kids are going to be challenged with, and bring that up during that week away, and especially these kids who lost their dads, kind of standing in the gap for their fathers, teaching them lessons on integrity, discipline, resilience, work ethic, resisting addictions. And then we have that's kind of the practical track, and then we've got kind of a spiritual track along the week that we cover with them as well. So, special week.
So it's a week long, and it's open to boys and girls?
Yep.
It is, yeah. We started just with boys camps, and then we added the girls in. A little bit of a twist at girls camp is that we have 5 couples come to camp. So there's 10 campers and 10 mentors at all of our camps.
Oh, wow.
So for boys camp, I jokingly usually say it's 20 boys, because when you have 10 mentors with 10 boys, they all become boys. But at girls camp, we have 5 couples that come to camp, because it's really the voice of their father that's missing in their life. And those girls without a dad in their life can, struggle with the part of the part of life that the dad, instills into their minds and hearts is missing. Yeah. And now most of our campers come from unchurched families. So on top of that, the Christian influence is missing as well.
Yeah.
So.
Now, why is that these are mostly unchurched? How did that happen?
Well,
that happened by God's design, I guess.
Yeah.
We just wanted to have a camp, and since we're serving military, broad-based, we are finding our kids through the survivor outreach organizations, Fort Bragg, and others that are just generic military organizations. And so the kids, it's a military community. 90% don't know the Lord, and so, but the moms, it's been a huge blessing, because we share, and they know when they go on our website, lifecampusa.org, they see it's a faith-based program, and that we want to stand in the gap for their fallen fathers and let them know the kids still have a Heavenly Father that loves them and has a plan. So they don't go into the camp thinking it's a secular organization camp. They know it's a faith-based camp, and the moms say, hey, share with my son. We let them know that's going to be the foundation. And like, I want my son to figure out, or daughter to figure out what they believe in life. So they give us the green light to share the gospel, and 90% come from unchurched families, and over half the kids, 3/4 have made decisions to follow Jesus by the end of the week. It's been unbelievable.
Wow.
And
what
some
God's
of our
doing.
moms, the reason why they're unchurched is when their husband lost their life. Sometimes the last time they were in church was maybe the 5 years ago, when they were at the funeral. And they've just not walked back into church since.
Yeah.
So now we're reintroducing that. I had a mom just about 2 weeks ago say, she used these words, after camp, my son pushed us, the word pushed, us back into church. And it had been about 5 years, I believe, that they.
And a lot of our kids, literally, we give them the first day in camp a Bible and a backpack and the water bottle and the devotion book, Bear Grylls devotion book, and teach them, they don't know where Genesis is. They've never had a Bible. And so they're literally unchurched, never been to church. What is baptism? We talk about the track for the week at camp, and some of the moms have literally said to Jane, baptize, what does that mean? How do you spell that?
Wow.
And we're like,
wow.
Okay. So it's such a blessing to have that community versus it's great to have a Christian camp and other Christian camps, but a lot of times your community is all the Christian kids that go to Christian camp. Our camp is basically filled with kids that don't know the Lord and have not heard about it. So it's a blessing to us.
And on top of that being the foundation, these kids have been given a safe space. So a lot of our kids will never talk about the fact that their dad was one of our nation's heroes, lost his life, especially if it's due to suicide. They aren't going to tell any of their friends at school that this happened to them. It's already a weird time. Middle school is weird. They don't want to stand out. And now kids are starting to notice they don't have a dad.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, especially the suicide kiddos have been bullied at school when other kids find out that maybe their dad took their life. Kids will come up to them in the hallway and pantomime a gun to the head or a rope around the neck. So you're not going to talk about that, but you come to camp and there's 9 other kiddos that you can, if you choose to, you can let that out. You can talk about it. You're in a safe space, and they all understand that they come from that same feeling. The emotional side of it is similar in all the kids.
Wow, that makes me want to know kind of like what. Obviously, for any child to lose their father or their mother is going to be difficult and traumatic. What's it like for these campers, in their lives before they come to you guys? Are they just suffering terribly?
Yes. A lot of the moms will say, I don't know, because they won't talk about it. Because the kiddos are afraid that if they talk about it with mom, they're just going to bring more grief into the mom's life. So they hold it tightly inside.
And
they do.
I think you have the typical middle school disconnect possibly, where a lot of the moms will say, my son, I need him to get out and do some stuff like cut a lawn or do things outdoors. He's locked up in his room, since his dad passed, or he just is not. And so they're definitely hurting big time. And it's just a matter of what channels of ability do they have to reach out and communicate and talk with others. So this gives them a neat opportunity. And half of our mentors at camps, last summer, about half of our campers were there because their dads took their own lives.
Oh gosh.
So it's a big percentage of the kids that are dealing with this. But our mentors are half military and law enforcement personnel themselves. So the 10 guys that are in camp have that experience. They know what these kids are struggling with. They know what their dads went through. It's kind of a special community then at camp of the 20 people that are running together for that week, relationship-wise.
Wow. That's awesome. And so how many camp locations do you operate? Now, I know you don't actually own
We
facilities,
don't.
which is an amazing model, but you use existing camps around in different
We
places.
do. We have
around
10
America.
programs this
10
summer.
programs.
Yes,
Okay.
and they're a lot of them are out west. So we're in Colorado, and we're in Montana. We're in the Black Hills. We do have a Canada fishing trip this summer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we go to places like guest ranches. It's like a smaller, quieter location, and run the programs there.
Yeah.
So.
Most youth camps probably have a lot more than 10 kids.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
So why are you limited to 10 kids?
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
It was
okay.
funny the first year. One thing we noticed, which we didn't plan on, was kids in the van as they called their moms during the week. They were like, "This is unbelievable. There's only 10 of us here," and they're used to camps with 200-300 kids, and maybe a counselor for every 20 kids or 15. So it was just a model we built based on wanting to be there and offer support and be high impact,
Yeah.
So we just thought, let's do 10 boys, 10 men, make it like fathers and sons going off on vacation together. And so that was just, we thought primarily for being impactful that week,
Yeah.
having a kid not be alone by themselves and feeling, by themselves, which was big. So yeah, it just kind of developed, and we saw after the first year, the fruit, the connection, and we do follow-up. So we also want to be able to follow up with the kids. So if you have one counselor, we probably follow up better than any camp in America, only because we're built with 10 and 10. So we do monthly Zooms. Every camp meets with their camp group of uncles, we call ourselves. The men are the uncles and the ladies are the aunts for the kids. So the uncles and the campers get together each month. Last Sunday, a couple days ago, was our monthly meeting. It would revisit maybe a lesson at camp on resilience. What does it mean? Revisit the Bible verses. How's life going? And just connect with them personally. And then we hired a youth pastor. We have a full-time youth pastor that does weekly Bible studies for these kids. So, our kids, there's hurdles built into our mission in that the kids are middle schoolers. They don't get to go home and drive to a church just because they gave their life to Jesus and they can't drive.
Yeah.
So we want to provide outlets for them to connect, stay, and then in ministry, and then our hope is to connect them back home over a 12 to 24 month period with youth groups, parachurch ministries like Young Life, or that
so
they
how do
can
you
connect.
Do you have connections?
Yeah, we're building
networks
that network, exactly.
Yeah, and some of it is just telling the campers and telling the campers' moms. Like what happened last year is a girl went to an open house and she saw Fellowship of Christian Athletes. She's an athlete. She saw their booth at an open house at her high school. That now she's in high school this year, and now she's an active member of Fellowship of Christian
And we had
Athletes.
talked about that at camp.
And we
Like,
talked
look for
about it.
these organizations
So
when
it
you
was
get
like,
home.
Oh,
yeah. So it was
So
like,
she saw
oh, yeah.
her high school thing.
Yes,
All right.
yeah. So
Okay,
that's worked
so-
out.
So tell me success stories or notable ones that keep you going. Like any
Yeah, well, I
any
think-
kids whose lives have really been changed. And
Yeah,
that you
it's been.
remember.
I'll let you tell the story of the kid from Alaska. I was just thinking we got one this last year of a mom who said she and her son were kind of getting at it after some stress, and they both knew they were stressed and kind of fighting. But he went away, and she said he came back downstairs, apologized to her, and said, "Mom, I'm sorry. It's just tough." And she said then they, made up. He came back down a little later, and she realized he hadn't seen her, but he walked to the kitchen, went outside. She looked outside, and he had a little camp light on, and he was reading his Bible in the front yard by himself in the middle of the dark with his camp light on. And she just said, to see my son after life camp, go in the front yard, read his Bible after we just got in a fight, and apologize. So she just was thanking us up and down for that experience, because he's a different boy now. We've got not countless stories, but hundreds of experiences you can share about.
A young boy who came to camp so angry. His dad had been killed in action.
Army Ranger,
Yeah, and his mom ended up taking her life through alcoholism. So he lost
he lost both parents.
both parents.
Okay.
So ended up living with his grandmother. But can you imagine being in middle school and being shipped to grandma's house, which is in Alaska?
Oh man. Okay.
So
Yeah.
he came to camp very angry.
Yeah.
Mark jokes that the first night at camp, he was successful in insulting every mentor around the campfire.
In a row. 10 guys in a row. It was amazing. He was so angry,
Yeah,
so
pushing
mad.
him away, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what happened?
Oh, so by the end of the week, he went home hugging his new friends, telling them he loved them like a brother.
Oh my goodness.
And he went on to military academy,
Oh,
and
gosh.
about 2 months later, we received a picture of him at his baptism. He had approached a chaplain at the military academy, shared with the chaplain about his life camp experience, and that chaplain just continued to walk him step by step in faith all the way to committing his life to the Lord and being baptized. So,
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing.
Yeah.
It's just so wonderful. What's it like, guys, what have you learned in this process about what it's like for our military families today, and why do we have, why do we have such a high suicide rate among our service members? And, just can you share what you've learned in that regard? I know you're dealing with the kids, but probably learned a lot about families too.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the things that stand out to us is we picked that community because of their commitment and sacrifice, right, to the country, their willingness to die. To be able to even share a message with these kids about their father's commitment to service. So the ones who have taken their lives, a lot of times there's shame involved in those families, and by accident, the moms maybe don't mean for that to happen, but it's a sad situation. And so we've got kids who wear their dad's names on their hoodies, who were KIA, right? And so Afghanistan, Sergeant, whoever, but the kids whose dads took their own lives, they're not wearing hoodies with their dad's names on the back because of just the sense of not knowing how to even relate, cope, talk about it. So we've just learned, the pain that's in these families is tremendous. I had a buddy who said the camp, I don't have any buddies that were killed in action, but I have 7 buddies who have taken their lives since they came back. Would you take their sons? And that's what kind of opened us up to this door of we're going to serve if they died as a result of their service, whether it was PTSD, depression. That opened the door from the just KIA. And we realized these kids, the pain they have and the stories they have are even deeper in a way,
Yeah.
So
What about veterans who commit suicide? Is that within your coverage, if you will, or do they have to be an active service member?
Oh, no, they
yeah,
can,
past service members. Yep.
Yeah, so we do it like case by case, like maybe the military wouldn't recognize that as a military death because they're now a veteran.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we would
We take that.
recognize that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And here you are at the NRB conference. You're trying to get people to know about what you're doing, right? So
Yes,
tell
sir.
people how they can connect with you
Thank you.
and find you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we have a website. It's lifecampusa.org. So that's the best place to find us. We have a video that you can watch that will give you a great picture. It's the best way to get a picture of what happens at camp is to watch a video.
Yeah, there's a
then-
number of videos on YouTube about Life Camp USA,
really?
so
Okay.
you can go on there and see other years. We've got videos from every year of what
Yeah.
God's been doing.
And we're on social media.
Yep, social media, Instagram. And I think the biggest thing for us is campers. We know there's about 1,000 kids a year who lose their fathers as a result of their service. Way underserved, underknown. And so we are willing to build out camps. It's 100% expenses covered, no cost to the families to send their kids.
Okay.
We don't charge them a penny. We fly them to Montana, have an amazing week with 10 men. It's a pretty special experience, to be honest, for these families to be able to avail themselves to. So that we'd love to get the word out to the families who have lost their dads, the kids. So if you guys can help us in that, we just want people to hear about the mission.
Yeah.
We're
so
donor funded.
You're donor supported.
So that's helpful too,
All right.
obviously.
We don't take an income, a salary,
wow.
for doing it. So all goes. We have to pay our staff, but everything goes much
so
as
you're
possible.
nonprofit, donor supported.
Yes, sir.
Helping kids
Yep.
whose dads have fallen in the service of their country or their community.
Yep.
And what an amazing work. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Mark
for
and Jane,
having
for what
us.
you're
Thank
doing. And,
Yes.
I wish you just great blessing. And
Pray for
increase.
us and pray for those families, and
All right.
we're going to change
pray
the
for
world.
them and donate to them, guys. And if you know anybody who needs this, be sure to go on their website and get that information.
LifeCampUSA.org. Thank you, brother.
LifeCampUSA.org. All right. God bless you all. Thank you for
You too.
coming on Truth and Liberty today.
Lord bless you.
All right.